The car business is rapidly changing, and modern car dealers are meeting the demand. I'm Michael Cirillo, and together we'll explore the best strategies, ideas, and tools to create a thriving life in and out of the business. This is the Dealer Playbook. All right, here he is, Ryan Stewman, aka the Hardcore Closer. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Michael? How are you today?
Doing fantastic. Listen, thanks for taking the time to meet with me. Second time around on DPB. But, first time I actually got to meet you, I think I was sick or something the last time when Robert had you on the show.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty special, man. I've been to a lot of people's houses where they didn't invite me back over again, you know?
Yeah, I think we've all been there. But, no, super pumped to have you back. And just kind of dive into your brain here for a few minutes. I think, there's a lot of salespeople listening to the show going, okay, we've heard, other people's takes, whether it's Gary Vee or Grant Cardone or, even some car sales professionals' takes. But, I think a lot of people are interested in hearing, from you and what your take is. I mean, I know, something that makes you very unique is that you've never had a salaried job or career in your life. And so you're able to approach the topic of sales, I think, from a very genuine and raw place. So I want to dive into this. I know if you look at the car industry today, there's like 230,000 new car salespeople alone. I mean, that's not even counting independent dealerships or RV dealerships or any of those sorts of things. And they're walking around, they're calling themselves salespeople. Is there a difference between a salesperson and somebody that actually writes business, or in other words, a closer?
Yeah, actually, I've written several articles about this. How funny you should ask, Mike. I've written several articles about this because I'm a believer that there's a difference. That anybody can call themselves a salesperson. But not too many people can call themselves a sales closer. That's why I have the name that I am, that I have, the Hardcore Closers. It's one thing to be able to sell some stuff. A lot of people are like, yeah, man, I'm really good at sales. I can sell things. But sales being able to sell something doesn't necessarily insinuate the fact that you can get paid a commission from it, right? In other words, but closing does, right? Because when you're closed, it's over with, done. Right now, I'm going through a process where I'm buying a house. And the real estate agent sold me a house, right? And did the sale. Here's the nice walls. We can put this interior, tear this down, make this beautiful, all that stuff, right? But until that thing closes, right? Until the mortgage broker decides that I can get the money, really the sale is made at the mortgage, right? Getting the money, then that sale didn't really do anything. And that person, the real estate agent, I'm not taking nothing from, but they didn't sell me on the house. They just presented some houses and they were like, which one do you want? That's not really a salesperson. Right. Now, if there was 100 homes to show and the salesperson went in and the real estate agent went into home number one and he's like, dude, this is it. Think about this here, and like sold it to me, I'd probably be like, hell yeah, I'm done looking at houses. This is it. That's a person who's a closer, right? Close here, sign the contract, then start selling the bank. And a lot of people think that sales is easy, and I think sales it's easy to go, hey, this is a great monitor or a great house or a great car or whatever it is, but closing is something's completely different. That's the hard part, right? Asking for the money and getting paid, right? So everybody, a lot of broke salespeople. You never seen a broke closer,
Yeah, fair enough. And so it's almost like in those terms, being a salesperson is almost like the assistant's job. It's like all the things that you would pay an assistant to do, but as the closer, you're going to roll in and you're going to have the difficult conversations.
Well, I went to CarMax the other day, and we were going to get an estimate on one of the cars that we own. We have an Audi, and it's a lease, but we put a little money down on it, and it's got a few $1,000s in equity. So we took it to CarMax, just to get out from under it and collect a couple grand and move on. And while we were there was 30 people that said sales on their cards there, right? And none of them said closer, by the way. They said sales, right? And those people really aren't sales. They're paid hourly. They show you cars. They're showers. You know what I mean? But again, that's sales, right? And it's just completely different being a closer. And again, a lot of people don't call themselves closers. You got 1%. And then what's funny is usually when the people do call themselves closers, people kind of giggle about it. You know, I saw this morning one of my friends posted on my wall. He's like, "What are your 5 top nicknames?" And one of them he tagged closer, which, you know, usually illuminates my name on there, right?
Yeah.
And he tagged, you know, that one of his nicknames was closer, and one of his friends laughed. And it's like, hey, you're only laughing because you can't say that. You know, you don't have a choice, but he's confident enough to know what his paycheck's big enough and what he does when he gets on the phone to be able to call himself that. And it's rare that people do.
Do you think it's because, I mean, the guy that makes the snarky comment doesn't realize that he's not really suggesting that he closes 100% of the business transactions that he goes into, but they think that, you know, like when you say you're a closer to somebody, I think the general public is kind of thinking, oh, doesn't this guy think he's God's gift to sales? And so is it more about that, or is it more about the fact that a closer is just willing to kind of go into territory that most people aren't willing to go into?
Man, you know, I don't even think it's that. I mean, I guess it could be, right? You could dig deeper and go into territory and maybe say some things that other people don't. But I think the difference between a closer is just someone who insists on the business. Right. When I sold cars, that's where I got the nickname. Right. And when I sold cars, which was a brief period of time, but I would notice most guys were scared. Right. They had $150 a month car payment. So they were scared to ask somebody for an $800 car payment, or they had a $400 a month car payment. So they were scared to ask somebody for a $1,500 car payment. I wasn't. I would go in there, sit down with them and be like, hey, man, if you want to drive this F-250 off the truck with this turbocharged diesel 4 doors and enough freaking steel to haul a trailer home, you're going to have a $1,400 a month payment, man. There's just that's the way it is, man. Just put the money down, drive out of here in the truck you want, and move on. And it didn't mean that I was like rude. It didn't insinuate that I was some kind of over asshole or anything like that. I just wasn't afraid to ask for the business. And then when they told me no, I wasn't afraid to go, why not? My little son, he's 4 years old, and every time he's like, hey, let me get some candy. And I'm like, no, man, you can't have any candy. Well, why not? Right? He wants to know. He didn't just take my answer and be like, okay. Right?
Yeah,
He wants to know. And we lose that somewhere along the way. But the few of us that are willing to go above and beyond the normal dialogue and just say, well, hey, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you liked it a few minutes ago. Now we got a number on it. You don't like it. What's going on in here?
What happened?
Some conflicting stories. You know what I mean?
So, I think, you know, if we're being honest, there's a lot of people in the industry that would lean towards the first side of that. Yeah, you know, I'm okay presenting, I'm okay, you know, maybe even talking to people, welcoming people to the store, all these sorts of things. But when it comes down to those difficult conversations or insisting on the business, I love that. You know, I love you said that. Would you say that that's a character trait of a closer? I mean, or, you know, insisting on the business. How do you go from what you just said to me, okay, insisting on the business, to not, you know, further ruining the reputation that car dealerships specifically have when it comes to the general population, right? I mean, there's this black cloud hanging over car dealers. They're like below lawyers on the totem pole. To be insistent, I mean, you said, no, I wasn't a jerk about it, but what does that actually look like? If you're breaking that out for the person listening, how do I be persistent or insistent on asking for the business without, you know, perhaps killing the reputation?
Well, first, let's just like take that back for 1 second, right? And I don't know that car dealers are lower than lawyers, man. That's you know, hold on a minute now. I don't like lawyers very much, but I like car people. They're my people, right? But so, but here's the thing, right? I think it works like this. The media consistently puts out terrible movies about us. Wall Street, a greedy ass salesman named Gordon Gekko screwing everybody over. Wolf of Wall Street, you know, a greedy ass dude named Jordan Belfort screwing people over. The Boiler Room, you know, these mythical dudes that were like stealing from people. Really, I mean, anything, right? Like they portray us as like these evil people. Any kind of like Vince Vaughn, The Goods, Ari. Like Ari was the biggest douchebag in all of Entourage, right? The media always portrays the salesperson, and what happens with the car people is they're like one of the last people on earth that has sales as their title on their business card. If you go and you get your real estate license, it says specifically on the license, Michael, real estate salesperson. Have you ever in your life heard a real estate agent call themselves that? No, they have gotten away from that name because they realize that the media has put some negative connotations to it. So the reason why I say that is if you understand that it's not the prospect being mean to you, and you're not being mean to the prospect or rude or anything else. The prospect's been predisposed, and everybody's been. Look, the world's full of dumb people, right? And when a salesperson sees a dumb person that's willing to do some dumb shit, you'd be stupid not. The salesperson would be dumb not to take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't do your homework, then you know what? Like if I go and I overpay for some food that's cheaper down the street, I should know, right? I know Chili's hamburgers really ain't that much better than Whataburger, but I know they cost 3 times as much. So if I decide to go pay for the same damn thing at 3 times, then that makes me the dummy, right? As long as I enjoy the experience, it doesn't matter though. And so what I'm saying is like, if you're in car sales or whatever sales and you have a reputation like that, well, here's the thing. It's like, just accept that and understand that they're just pre-programmed that way. That doesn't mean they really feel that way. It's like the legend Zig Ziglar tells a story. It was at Thanksgiving dinner, and his wife was cutting off the ends of the ham and putting them in the pan. And he's like, hey, what in the world do you cut off the ends of the ham? That's like the most delicious part of the whole pig, right? And she's like, I don't know. Ask my mom. My mom always did it, so I'm doing it. She goes in there, and he asks the mom, he says, hey, why do you cut off the ends of the ham? And she goes, well, my mom always did it. I never really thought about it. I just did what she did. And he goes to the grandmother. And by the way, Zeke was old, so this had to have been a long time ago, right? So he goes to the grandmother and says, why do you cut off the ends of the ham? She goes, I don't know why these 2 goofballs do it, but I never had a pan big enough to fit the whole ham in, right? And so objections are the same way. Like, your parents, they don't know anything smart to say to someone. You go buy a car, they go, don't get ripped off by the salesman. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
right? Because they don't know anything else to say because that's what their parents said to them. Right. We have the internet, sticker prices. All these things didn't exist when your grandparents were buying cars. You know what I mean? Like we have all these things. It's the same thing when you go to a bank. They're like, ask them for a low interest rate. Dude, they have the CFPB in place. Dude, you couldn't get a high interest rate if you agreed to it. You could sign the papers. They would let you out of it. Right. But that's the objection. They think, well, I think that rate's too high. Right.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what their grandpa taught them to do. Their grandpa taught their dad taught them. Because back in the day, we live in a very regulated society. Back in the day, you could fender trade and all this stuff and things that weren't even around in our lifetime. And yes, salesmen took advantage of dumb people, but it's almost impossible to do that on that level today. But yet people still give those same objections. And it's similar to cutting the ends of the ham off. It's like my great grandpa always said, ask for the lowest rate. Ask for the sticker price or the invoice price. So that's what I do.
Right. So, yeah, and I should clarify, those are not my feelings about the car industry, by the way. I love the industry. But,
we know that. You're here giving back to them.
Yeah, well, there you go. Fair enough. So, because that is how people have been brought up. And I mean, the media, like you said, does kind of perpetuate that negative stigma or whatever you want to call it that looms over the car business. I think that's a mental block that a lot of salespeople, as we talk to them, have. Like, how do I differentiate myself? How can I be persistent? How can I be the closer when that's exactly what everyone's expecting me to be? Like, like people are coming in with their guard up and they know that you're going to be asking for the business. I mean, like, let's face it, it's 2016. If you don't know what a car dealership does, then like you said, you're kind of a dummy. I mean, everybody knows that the second they walk foot into a car dealership, somebody's going to be doing something to sell them a car. I mean, that's just the nature of the establishment. But how do we get around that? How have you differentiated yourself? Is it the best service, or is it just caring? Is it building relationships of trust? What have you found is the kind of magic formula for cutting through the clutter of salespeople and dominating?
Well, I when I sold cars, it was 2011, and I made videos. I know that still works today because I've got a client that came through my Break Free Academy program. Now he's a broker owner, right? Like he owns the dealership there, and but it's just a one-man operation. He came in April. In February, he sold 8 cars. I'm sorry, in April he sold 8 cars, and that was his biggest month, right? Small operation. It's just him. In May, he sold 32 cars. This month, I think he's almost up to 50 cars. And I can tell you exactly what it is, right? because I've experienced it in my life, and now I'm seeing him do it in his, because he's our first car guy to ever come through this, right? And honestly, I was concerned. I'm like, man, if this dude doesn't do what he's told, and he may discredit it, because a lot of car salespeople, they will discredit. They cut my tie off, laughing at me for videos and shit like that. 2 weeks later, I'm selling circles around all of them, right? And then they want to know what I'm doing. I'm like, none of your business, right? And I'm gonna charge for this one of these days. Right?
Exactly.
So, you can buy my program in the future, son. But so the thing is, I believe it's several points. You have to earn their trust, first of all. So when people would come on the car lot back in the day, and this still works today, right? Just because I did it 2011, don't discredit this stuff. It works, guys. And so when people come on the car lot, they almost always say, we're just looking, right? And there again, that's one of those things like cutting the ends of the ham off, right? That's what their dad told them. Hey, if the salesman comes up to you, tell me just looking. Right? Like
exactly.
That's normal. So I say, hey, you know what? I hear that almost every single time. Here's the thing. I'm not here to sell you anything either. I get paid whether you buy today or not. I'm here. I'm on the clock. I'm working. And so here's the thing. If you like the car, just ask me questions. If you have questions about it, just let them out. If you want to go test drive a specific car, if you got an idea, look, it doesn't make any difference whether you buy anything or not. I'm gonna get paid the same. Let's just move forward. Cool. Boom. Right. And at that point, then we're all of a sudden their guards down, right? It's like, hey, if you like, so I don't care if you buy it or not. I'm going to get paid the same whether you buy it today or not, right? And by saying that, I'm not lying, because if they don't buy and nobody else buys for the day, I did get paid for the same. If they do buy today and I've already sold another car, which most likely is going to happen, then I'm going to get paid the same, right? So it's not, it just takes that off the table for them. Words
It's just how you packaged it.
Absolutely, man. And so what I'm doing is I'm just taking that objection off, because they think if they say that they're there to buy, then I'll start ripping them off immediately. It's like all of a sudden they say they're there to buy. The next thing you know, I'm like a rabbit in a magician's hat with a freaking credit card of theirs in my hand, right? Yeah. Charging them full price, 10 grand above sticker and a bunch of, custom add-ons, right? That's what they're fearful of. And so at that point, I'm like, hey, if you like it, just tell me. It doesn't matter to me one way or another. But let's go check out what you like. And I sit down, and the first thing that I always did before I showed them anything, they could want to see a car. And you know what? People didn't really fight me, but maybe one or two times on this. I would sit them down at the table and ask them some questions, right? And I kept a little notepad with me, and I would ask them, why they want the car is what I was trying to get after, right? So you need a 4-door sedan. Why? Oh, because we just had a kid. Boom. Right? You're in a 2-door Mustang right now. Okay, boom. You can't remain in that life anymore. You have to change, right? So that means that deal's gonna get done. I might as well be the guy to get it done, right? If it's someone coming in a Suburban and they're like, dude, I just can't afford the gas anymore, man. I'm looking at this Focus. That's somebody whose pocket's hurting. They have to make that deal. Right? If it's somebody who comes in and they're in a nice vehicle and they're wanting a decked out Mustang as like a side vehicle, man, they don't have to make that deal, right? So I've got to find out that inner motivation in there. So I did some fact finding, and what I would tell them is this. I'd say, hey, let's sit down, because listen, there's like 500 cars on this lot and it's hot as hell in Texas. Let me put you down the seat here. Let me figure out which one it is that you like. You tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, and I'll just pull it up front and make it easy for you, right? And there's an excuse for them to start giving me information, because I'm offering them convenience. Right? So instead of saying, hey, you tell me which one you like, and I'll just get you to sign it up and you'll buy, and I'll take your wallet, beat you over sticker price, or trying to get them to walk on the lot. Let's go take a look. It's like, hey, man, listen, I'm really good at this. You tell me what you want, I'll bring it around.
Right. So it's like the concierge service.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Hey, I get paid regardless. And then I go through this. Then then what happens is they let their guard down, man. They go in and they're like, wow, I like this. They start liking the truck. We get back to the table. I get to turn my hat around backwards. Right. I went from the guy that it was, hey, your buddy, you really like this, you can tell me anything, to, well, why wouldn't you buy this today? You said you like it. I'm giving you a price. You're not going to get anywhere else, right? I'm giving you a price. Here I am, full disclosure, full transparency. Here's how it's working. I told you I'm going to get paid the same today, whether you buy or not. So what is the hold up? You want the vehicle. And I just ask them, and oftentimes they'll say something crazy. Well, I need to go think about it. I need to go talk to my bank. Man, we got banks right here. We'll finance it through your bank at a cheaper rate than you could get if you walked up to the window right now, and faster.
Yeah. You're removing all their obstacles and just providing solutions.
Everything. But first thing I did was I got them addicted to the car. Right? Because if they fall in love with the car, then we can make it. Look, man, if you like the car, I'll make what needs to happen on your end work. Right? If you have realistic expectations, because you can't expect a $50,000 car for $199 a month on a 60-month note, it's just not going to happen. But if you'll come to realistic expectations, I'll make that happen for you. You like the car. There's nothing to keep you from having it.
Okay, so this brings my brain starts moving to, okay, how did you navigate how did you navigate management, right? Because I think a lot of people shy away from the, hey, if you love the car, we'll make whatever got to make happen. Everything's figure outable or whatever you want to call it. Then you bring it to management. They go, whoa, what are you doing? Right. How did you navigate that?
So here's exactly what I would do. I got my little, pad that I'm taking notes on, and I would say, okay, what would you pay for this? What did you have in mind? What do you think this vehicle's worth? And it's an $800 vehicle. They say, well, I was expecting to pay somewhere around $399. Perfect. Okay, well, $399. So if I can make everything come together today at $399, you'll sign papers and drive out of here. Absolutely. Okay, man, look, that's a little low. I'm just to be honest with you, but I know you want the vehicle. So let me go talk to my sales manager. There's no way they're going to do it for $399, right? Like, there's no way. You're $500 off. However, like, that's good negotiation skills. And now that I know you want the car, go to bat for it. And I would just go talk to the sales manager. Like, look, I got him to commit that he'll buy the damn car today. He just signed next to this. Like, I know we ain't going to get to this neighbor, but we got this number, but I got him somewhere. And so here's the thing, from there, I would ask the manager to hit me up really high. But I also had a deal where I got paid from the financing as well. So if I didn't make it on the gross front, then I got a piece of the financing as well. So I could sacrifice a little on my end to get a piece on the back, right? But I wasn't in the business of giving shit away. I promise you that. We were one of the highest grossing Ford stores. I think we were the highest grossing Ford store out there. And again, I would just get them to commit somewhere and then come back and say the internet manager hits me at $1,300, $1,000 more than what this dude wants, right? And then I'm able to go, see, dude, I told you your numbers were off. Like, look how far apart we are. We're $1,000, but don't get up, right? What if I worked some miracle, man, and I got us down to $700? I know it's a little bit more than you're thinking, but it's just a couple $100, right? But it's way less than this $1,000 they're talking about over there. I'll go fight for you. If you like the vehicle, we can make it happen, right? And it sucks that we got to play those psychological games with people, but they have this is what happens, their expectations down here, but it's really not. He was probably willing to pay $700 the whole time. He just knew that you had to start with something. It's like when you go put a bid on a house. I put a bid on a house to buy in Florida, right? And I made a ridiculous lowball bid, hoping that they would give me some kind of mid-level counter. And the sons of bitches accepted it, right? I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, dude, they took that? Really? Really? They did? Wow, right? Like, I was totally blown away. But anyway, and so usually that's not what happens. I made that offer expecting them to, hey, lucky for me, they laid down, but I made that offer expecting for them to come back at, like, I made a 115 offer. I expect them to hit me back at 130 or something like that, but I wanted to hit them low, but my expectation was 130 all along, but I'm not just going to put it out there. And I assume that most people come to the negotiation table the same way. And instead of us trying to, because what'll happen is if I'd have came out with 700 from the jump, then they would have just assumed that I had some more built into it, because nobody hits you with their best offer up front, just like they're not going to hit me with their best offer up front. And I know that. And I don't take it personal. It's just moving on through the system. That's how we do it over here.
Yeah, you're moving in the same direction as the money.
Yep.
You're not. What's fascinating, I love this, because you go on Facebook, and I mean, we could scroll through Facebook right now and do a screen share, and I'm sure we would see at least 10 or so salespeople being like, I can't believe this person's trying to lowball me on this and that. But what I love about what you're saying here is it's a mind shift.
You want them to. Yeah.
You should be expecting that. I mean, it's like, dude, you've been in the business how long now? You should expect every person to come through. Just like you said, your analogy about cutting off the ends of the ham. They've been preconditioned to come in and be like, I got to offer the lowball offer. So instead of complaining about it, and especially making yourself look like an idiot on Facebook by complaining about it, shift your paradigm, shift your mindset, and be like, dude, I expect it's going to happen, so let's play the game.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Lowball offer means they want what you have. What a bigger buying sign. What bigger buying sign could you possibly ask for? They're saying, if you'll come to this dollar amount right here, I'll take this son of a bitch today and drive it home, right? And and most people get offended. They're like, but that dollar amount's absurd. I would take it at that dollar amount too. Like, perfect. Now's the time you negotiate, because you know they want it, and they've already committed basically to the fact of letting you know that they want it, lowball offer or not, right? But you can't blame them for taking a swing either, because what if you said, hell yeah, let's wrap it up? Just like I wasn't expecting the offer on the house to go that way, but they said, hell yeah, wrap it up. I called the Maserati dealership a few months ago, and I was like, hey man, I'm looking to do this. Here's the moves I want to make. And I made them ridiculous offer. I'm like $1,000 down, $999 a month. I want this car right here. The dude's like, he called me back 30 minutes later, done, come pick it up. Like, no shit. All right. But again, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? I was expecting them to come back at $1,500.
Yeah.
So what kind of a dumbass would I be if I hit them with the $1,500 up front? I would be paying $500 more a month for my car.
Yeah,
because I'm sure they'd have taken that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's brilliant, and it shows how important mindset is in application. I mean, you see all the fancy, warm and fuzzy Facebook posts about, you know, your attitude equals altitude and all these like things that people say, but this is what mindset can actually do in application, on the front lines, on the ground level. Understanding that what you may currently not like about the negotiation process is something that you should be welcoming, because like you said, I love the paradigm that you introduce. They give you a lowball offer. Most people are sitting there getting mad about it. Oh, dude, they're calling them names. They're doing all these sorts of things. You're saying that's exactly what you want, because that means they want the vehicle. They want the product. Okay, so here's a question I have for you. Okay, go ahead.
Let me say one more thing. Sorry, man.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's the ultimate buying sign. I remember one time I started work at this mortgage company. And the first day I sat down, and within 5 minutes of sitting down, they threw 6 leads into my inbox. And I was like, I was blown away. I said, holy shit, man, these people actually want what I'm selling. How easy is this going to be? And the dude next to me, and like within probably 10 minutes, I had an application from 2 of them, which was like unheard of in the company. But dude, I was excited. Meanwhile, I overheard the guy that started the same day as me tell the dude in the cubicle that also started about the same time, that was new next to him over there. He's like, dude, they give us these leads full of like these people that watch this darn Jerry Springer, man. These leads are terrible. And I'm like, dude, he got the same. We started the same day, so it's not like they not like they were, hey, give Ryan leads because he's like, you know, like, dude, whatever, right? We got the same stuff. And I was like, it's all in the attitude. Same with the car guys, right? Somebody comes in and they're like, dude, this guy's a freaking cheapskate. No, he's not. He's a stellar negotiator doing what his great-great-grandfather taught his grandfather and his grandfather and his dad and everybody else to do. Start out low. Yeah, do your freaking job. Quit being so thin skinned. I think that's a lot of salespeople's problem, is they're thin skinned. They take things personally. They feel like they bonded with somebody, and then they're like, "You're just gonna do me like this, man, and I did all this work for you. You're not gonna pay me." And it's not like that, man. Just like shut up and press forward.
I can't believe this, man. I thought we were friends.
Yeah. I've known you for 30 minutes. We went on a test ride together. How are we not best buddies? And you trust me with your life by now.
Yeah,
you know?
With your thousands of dollars. So, and you know what? Even going further down that wormhole, I mean, doesn't that show the integrity of the customer, that they're willing to follow through on something their great grandfather taught them? So, yeah, you know, it's about shifting mindset. I love that conversation because I think it's so important, so relevant, and I think a lot more people in the industry, in any industry, any person that's in sales would be so much more successful, whatever their definition is. They would close more business if they just shifted the way they saw things and the way they looked at things. So that's a huge power bomb right there. Let me ask you this. In your career, if you had to kind of sum up the most valuable lesson or lessons that you've learned that have brought you to where you're at, what would they be?
The biggest lesson I've learned in sales, and I'll share this with you, and you've probably heard it a million times, but that doesn't make it any less valuable, is ask questions. You know, last night I had 14 or 15 salespeople doing interviews with me, and with a few of them I did some role playing. I'm gonna get through the rest of them tonight. And with a few of them I did some role playing, me as a customer, them selling me my stuff. I mean, there's plenty of guys selling pen and water. I'm not into that. Like, I'm hiring these guys to sell my shit. Sell me my shit. You know what I mean? Yep. And so I have these guys doing it, and my mentor, Kevin Nations, he's behind the scenes over there, and I know what he's thinking. I know what he's sending me messages. My sales team's sending me messages, and they're saying, you know, hey, none of these dudes are asking you questions. They're over here pitching this stuff, and none of them are asking questions. And the biggest lesson that I can tell you is ask questions, man, because here's the thing, especially with social media, everybody gets on social media and they start talking about themselves. Here's what I did. Here's how I'm rolling. Here's what's up with me. Here's what I got going on. Very few people are talking about them, right? Like the people that are watching. So like when I post for my audience. I don't post for me. It's not, look at what I'm doing. It's like, look what you can do if you do this, right? I'm giving it to them. I'm being different. I'm standing out. And the thing about sales is most salespeople talk, and then when they have this perception because of the media and everything else that salespeople are big talkers, right? They're talking, and we think we have to fill that role as salespeople. But I'm telling you, the best salespeople don't talk. They ask questions and they let the prospect talk. And what happens is the prospect's so used to everybody in their life talking about themselves and not listening to their needs, man, that it shifts the prospect's perspective. And what happens is they start really trusting you. They're like, this dude really does care because he's the only person out of the last 100 people I ran into that's listened to me, that's actually asked me that question, that actually cares about that. And you're shifting their paradigm. You know, Dale Carnegie said it best: to have people interested in you, you need to be interested in them. And when you start showing somebody that you're interested by asking questions, because you're asking questions about them and letting them talk, man, nobody else does that. Other salespeople don't do that. And here's the thing: when you're asking questions, they lead to confessions. And if somebody confesses to you they have bad credit or they made a mistake or going through a divorce, guess what? They're going to stay with you because they don't want to admit that mistake to everybody around town. You know, when somebody goes to the mortgage company, the main reason they don't shop around is they don't want 15 places knowing that they've got, you know, credit cards to porn stores and Pornhub automatically drafting their bank accounts and, you know what I mean, bigdildobucks.com on their freaking bank statement and all this stuff, right? Like,
Right.
That's why they don't go anywhere else, because they've made that confession somewhere, right? So if you ask them the questions and get that confession, you're going to retain more sales. And a lot of salespeople, that's the number one reason they screw up. They don't. They just start talking. Last night on my show is evidenced.
You know, this is a similar conversation I've had with my team, and it's like, you know, sometimes it's like, dude, stop talking so much. I mean, like, I know for myself, I've closed deals without even really telling people what we do because I just sat there and listened to them. This last Friday was a perfect example. I you know, had a conversation with an individual who had requested some information, and I mean, it was 30 minutes of listening, and at the end of it, they're like, "Okay, we need you to put together this whole strategy and yada yada yada." And I was like, "Isn't that I didn't even talk about what I do with it." And so, you know, the validity, I think, firsthand, you know, I guess maybe adding my voice to that is it works. You mentioned Dale Carnegie, and I mean, How to Win Friends is probably one of my all-time favorite books, and you know, he talks a lot about the power of listening in there, and how people have complimented him, you know, they've complimented him on being such a great conversationalist by just listening. He's like, I didn't say two words in that conversation. So by asking questions and actually being interested in the answer and not, I mean, I feel like, don't you feel like people just want the next word? It's like, yeah, I asked you a question and you're answering me, but I'm not actually listening. I'm thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. Is that
Dude, all the time, people in their head, you know. We were talking about that was part of the thing last night too. But here's the thing: when you're acting interested in somebody, you have to actually be interested in them. People can tell if you're fake, right?
right?
And you know, it's like, oh, great, sir, and then what, right? Like, come on, man, get the hell out of here. And that's what I'm really good at is I just naturally act interested, right? Whether I am or I'm not, right? You know, because I can get bored just like anybody else,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But I act naturally interested, right? I'm not like trying to be this refined and people get that they when you hold yourself staunchy and you're like yes or no sir, and you like hold yourself up. They know that you're hiding a lot of stuff because that's not how they are. They know as soon as they leave, you're like, yeah, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like they know that they have that like different mentality. People aren't stupid. They can see the fakeness, right? The waiter walks up to your table and he's like, good evening, folks. You're like, dude, that's not how you talk to your friends. Yeah. You know, like that. You don't walk up to your homie Mike.
They turn into characters from like Downton Abbey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and salespeople think it's like okay to do that too. But what I've always done is people have been like, man, this guy's just like a regular dude asking questions, trying to solve our problem. That's how they always look at. Never mind, I'm a creeper because I have the same intention as the dude that don't shut up down the street over there. The only difference is I'm actually listening to them, being intentional, making it natural, because I'm just a natural connector anyway. And I believe if you're going to be a good salesman, you have to be. It's like, oh, hey, I make people feel like within 5 minutes of knowing me, and you probably attest to this just being on podcasts, I make people feel like they've known me for forever.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to them just like we're good old buddies, went to high school together, and we just happened to run into each other at the gas station in the old neighborhood one summer, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's powerful.
And that's what works because a lot of people are refined and hiding stuff and trying to act like this, that, and the other. I worked at this dealership And I worked the largest bank in the state of Texas that's privately owned. I worked at the highest grossing Ford dealership in Dallas over in Highland Park, which is, a very staunch, sophisticated part. Well, that's where I live now. I shouldn't be talking about myself like that. But, my garage down there is full of, my cars. I got Maserati, Porsche, there's McLarens and Ferraris. It's like that part of town, very
Right.
upscale people that go buy their kids Fords and stuff like that. And dude, I would talk to those people. I would cuss, you know what I mean, and be natural. And nobody ever said a single complaint because they just felt like, well, dude, this guy's just my buddy that I've known forever. And I got him to trust me because I really did care about him, first of all, because I've never ripped off anybody in my entire sales career. I've always taken care of everybody. I really do care about them. And they get that sense from me. Like someone comes in and like, come on, man, let me put my arm around you and help you, as opposed to, hey, man, how can I beat your head off? Because, dude, I'm the king of referrals, right? I make you feel so good about doing business with me. Why in the hell wouldn't you send your friends over my way? Because I'm going to take care of them too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you and I'll wind it down with this one, but if you were to go back and start a career in automotive in sales, what would your first actions be? What would the first thing you do inside the dealership be?
So advertising's huge, right? So let's say you got a few cars on the lot already, right? The first thing that I would do is run advertising, because if you get good at ads, you don't even really need that good of salespeople. And car dealers, just take note right now. This may piss you off, but I bought a $110,000 car on a lease, rather, but still the price is still the same. I've never seen it. I sent an email to a dude. He sent me some papers. I gave him a credit card number. I went pick the thing up. Right within 2 hours, I had a Maserati. The day before, I bought this Porsche Cayenne. It's a $95,000 vehicle. Same thing. I sent an email to the people. They came and they dropped it off at my doorstep. Now, here's the thing. I get it. You might sell Fords that are 20,000 or 30. Who am I kidding? 20. They're going to be 30,000 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you might sell Fords at 30,000. You say, well, we can't afford to do that. But here's the thing, dealers. You should have that service set up to where somebody can go online, pick up the car, and by the time they show up at the dealership, like all they got to do is sign 3 pieces of paper. There's no need to play games and take them back there and everything else. They sign 3 pieces of paper and send them on their way. Because here's the thing. People's biggest complaint about the dealership is they make you stay there for forever. And those dealerships that eliminate that problem are the dealerships that are going to be around and truth is, man, like I hate to say this, like I don't think car dealerships will be around in the future. I think Tesla is doing their damnedest to replace people driving cars, and the only cars that'll be around are like McLarens and Maseratis, guys like me that want to get a specific license. I don't think most people get a license, but a specific license to like drive supercars or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that you'll just hit like an app like Uber, and a car, or a Tesla, or a Google car, or whatever, will come pick, depending on where you're living, right? Like Tesla, if you got some money, Google if you're broke as hell, will come pick you up and take you wherever you need to go. I think that that's like the future. So, if I was a dealer right now, 2 things, I'd be trying to sell my cars to Google or the city or whatever, and make sure that I had that account underway to kind of heed that little pass off. Yeah. And B, I would be doing advertising to make it as easy for not only just salesperson, but as easy for the customer as possible. Like I said, when I bought these 2 cars, even if I did overpay for them, which I might have, I was so like relieved it only took me 30 minutes to get what I want. And hell, I've been thinking about going back down there and getting a McLaren from them. I shit you not. Like it's on my list. Like as soon as we got to buy this house and closing the mortgage first, because you know how the rules are, right? You can't like get it. But I'm like 99% sure I'm going down back over there because I can have McLaren in 30 minutes. That's a hell of a value proposition.
Well, exactly. And you understand what 30 minutes or 4 hours of your time inside a dealership is worth as much as you're probably going to put on the down payment.
That's it, man.
So you're paying for the convenience. It's funny you say that too, because I've told my team, I think my prediction for the next 10, 15 years is most of the dealerships, the way we see them, are going to just turn into these showrooms. They'll have like one of each model. There'll be an iPad or something there set up that says you can get this car in 5 different colors. Pick the one you want. Boom, the car's going to roll up to you. And then they just become more like service centers for those vehicles like Tesla, right? But that's funny that you say the same thing, because that's kind of where I'm going. So just to kind of recap this, shift your mindset. Start thinking big. Start thinking positive is kind of what I took from this. start
hang
looking
on.
at.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
start thinking if they make you an offer that they want the damn thing that you're selling, right? Start thinking
Yeah.
like, not whether it's positive or not. If they make an offer, that shows that that's like the number one buying sign ever. So start thinking of offers as a as a gift from God, because you're about to get a commission check if you'll just press
Yeah,
forward.
manna from heaven when they make you an offer.
Yeah, that's it.
So shift your mindset and look at those things that you're currently complaining about in a different light, and most likely they will be very blatant opportunities for you to increase your income. And then, like you said, be a phenomenal listener and ask a ton of questions. Be more genuinely interested in them. I think this stuff is incredible. And like you said, advertising, knowing how to make the right offer, making it convenient for the customer, and you're going to rise above the clutter and dominate. That's huge stuff. So, just turn it over to you real quick. In closing, Ryan, how can those listening get in touch with you?
Find me at clixo.com/closer. That's CLYXO.com/closer. Listen, I own that company. Clixo is my company. I'm 100% sole owner, and I would invite you to sign up for one of our free profiles over there. I don't have shit to sell you. Right? For once in my life, it is a free, no gimmicks program. I'm being nice to the sales community by investing my dollars and giving this back. And that's real talk, you guys. You have Instagram, Snapchats, websites, all this different stuff. Dude, Clixo fixes that for you. And you can find everything just in one place. And it's easy to set up. Takes you less than 90 seconds to get every profile from every social media channel you have, whether you're on desktop, phone, whatever, man. It's super easy. I've sunk a lot of money into this thing because A, I wanted it, right? It's like, not something that I needed, but B, I wanted to give back to the community too. So go to clixo.com/closer, connect with me wherever the hell you want. That's on the page there, and then set up your own account while you're there.
Love it, man. Hey, thanks so much for joining me on DPB.
Hey, man, thanks for having me again. Repeat!
Yeah.
Repeat guest. I feel special.
There he is. Thanks, man. Hey, thanks for listening to the Dealer Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed tuning in, please subscribe, share, and hit that like button. You can also join us and the DPB community on social media. Check back next week for a new Dealer Playbook episode. Thanks so much for joining.